Hello friends, welcome back to another video on my booktube channel, Tazisbooked. It's been a while, and my AC is making weird noises. We're just gonna roll with it. I actually think I forgot how to film because it's been so long, but I wanted to check in with you all, see how you're doing, give a couple updates on how I'm doing, where I've been, that kind of stuff, and just have a little bit of a self-care day. Let's do a face mask, do some skincare, just make like a little bit of a chill vibe. It is Friday the 13th of August, a little bit around noon, and I am like officially offline for right now from work. I do summer hours. I'm really fortunate enough that my job lets me do summer hours, so my Friday afternoons are my own and not on the company time. And quite honestly, my skin has been so bad lately, so I figured this was a nice little way to just have some chit chat time with you all. So the mask I'm putting on is just like the super basic Aztec clay mask. I've been doing like a couple of like other masks just to try them out, but I keep coming back to this one. It just, for whatever reason, maybe because it's so harsh and I don't have sensitive skin, it just feels like I'm just sloughing off all of the dead skin. So I really like that like fresh skin feeling. So this is the mask we're going to be using today. So where have I been? I've been right here in Boston. I mean, I personally am still a little uncomfortable with like COVID, and of course like I'm vaccinated and all that kind of stuff, but like I still, because of the Delta variant and because of how rampant we are allowing this virus to spread, I'm just not comfortable doing a ton of stuff. Like I still mostly wear a mask wherever I'm going. And obviously everyone has their own preferences, especially like if you're vaccinated, do whatever you think is best for you. But for me, like I'm still just a little bit weary. So yeah, I've just been here. Haven't really been doing much. My mental health has been a little rough lately. I should have put on a hairband. This might be a little bit of a chaotic vlog. I feel like I can't, oh my God, I really should have put on a hair tie before doing, oh, okay, well, my hair is just going to have a face mask too. I can't multitask and do this. This was a bad idea. I felt like I could multitask and do this and it would be fine, but it's not. So please bear with me. Okay, you know what? I think that's as good as it's gonna get for right now. It's a little bit of a messy application, but I really don't fancy any more in my hair than it already is. So what was I saying? Where I've been. Just been here in Boston. My mental health as of the past couple months has been pretty rough, and I'll probably get into it a little bit more later in the video, but because of that, and because I've been in a bit of a reading slump, this roller coaster of a reading slump, thinking about making bookish content has been really difficult lately. It's why I haven't really been up to date on doing like my monthly wrap-ups. Bless me. It's why I haven't really been doing monthly wrap-ups, and I just like, I've been feeling off, so I've just been making sure to take time for myself, prioritize like my mental health and focus on other things in my life that needed a little bit more focus. However, I will say that I managed to crawl out of my reading slump hole, that bookless hellscape, recently. So I kind of wanted to chat about my recent favorite books that I've read in the past like month or so. Give you all a little bit of a reading update. So the first book that I read and like absolutely loved over the summer was What a Happy Family by Saumya Dave. I think you guys might remember this from when I did like a planty type of reading vlog, but I absolutely adored that book so much. I'm finding that I really like stories with like a robust yet dysfunctional family dynamic. Saumya Dave is also a psychiatrist as well as a writer, so I really love the emphasis and focus that she places mental health on, especially within the context and dynamics of like a South Asian family, because as we're all probably pretty familiar with, South Asian discourse with mental health doesn't really exist. It's only started being more of a forefront topic in the recent past. Like, I want to say millennials and Gen Z have really furthered this discussion in the community, which is great. And I think Saumya Dave's books is a really good, positive reflection of mental health within Brown communities. So yeah, really loved that. And then the book that I read after that, that I really, really loved, because I've read quite a number of books over the past few months, and I'm obviously just going to talk about the ones that I like absolutely adored, like I'm obsessing over, cannot stop thinking about. So the next one is The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. If perhaps you live under a rock and you've never heard of The Jasmine Throne, this is an epic fantasy of literally my dreams. It's a sapphic fantasy inspired by like Indian epics, and it has very much like Ram Leela, Jodha Akbar, Baijro Mastani, Padmavat vibes. Like, it's dripping in those immaculate vibes. I was absolutely obsessed with every single page of this book. Plus, the two main characters are morally gray lesbians, like truly morally gray. I think a lot of the times in literature, we'll find that we're promised like morally gray scenarios or characters, and it's really not the case that they're morally gray. These two characters, Priya and Malini, are so morally gray. Like, I am absolutely obsessed with them. I'm obsessed with their relationship with each other, and this book has also been sold as like a slow burn romance, and they were not exaggerating about that one, because I swear to God, Priya and Malini did not kiss until like 70 or 80% of the book. And honestly, I was okay with it, because not only was like the rest of the story rich in world building and characters and plot, but the kiss scene, the waterfall, so worth it. But beyond the slow burn, like I kind of alluded to, the expansiveness of this story and this world is something that I really adored. I really liked the way that Tasha Suri kind of incorporated imperialism and colonialism into the story. It was just done so seamlessly, in my opinion. Like, the land, it's called Ahiranya, and that land, that country was absorbed, conquered and absorbed into this larger empire. And I'm absolutely going to butcher this, so feel free to give me a warning on my brown girl card. But the larger empire is called Parijatvipa, I think. And I saw, and I could be totally off base on this, but kind of the interpretation that I had of this world was it had like a lot of similarities with the Mughal Empire and the Mughals coming into the South Asian region, and just like Hindu-Muslim relations at the time. And I saw that like especially in the way that like traditional cultural Ahiranya practices were viewed as like barbaric or backwards. But yeah, I absolutely adored it. Cannot wait for the next installment. I will actually scream when I have it in my hands. The next book that I absolutely loved, and it made me feel so soft, but it was Radha and Jay's Recipe for Romance by Nisha Sharma. I've talked about this a little bit in the past, but I think that 2021 is really the year that I've discovered like YA contemporary books, especially with like that diversity that I didn't know that I was craving for YA contemporary. I also apologize. There's something going on like outside my building, so if you hear like creaking or screaming or whatever, that's what that is. Like everything's fine, but there's just like some construction thing going on. Anyway, I kind of touched upon this like in my Bengali representation video a few months ago, but like I have been reading these YA contemporary romances for like a couple reasons. One, because they're obviously like so soft and fluffy, but two, I feel like I owe it to like my inner adolescent child that I need to read these books because I didn't have them growing up at the time where I really needed them. So it's just, you know, partially reading them to indulge that inner adolescence of mine. Plus, I'm really just finding that like no other book does fluffy, swoony romances like a YA contemporary. I swear it has something to do with like the first love feels, and yeah, I'm just really thoroughly enjoying reading all of these contemporaries, especially when it's about brown girls. Another book that I finished after that I was absolutely obsessed with was Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I don't actually think that I need to say anything about this one because everyone and their mother knows about Malibu Rising and Taylor Jenkins Reid. Like, it was just good. I don't know what else to say. It was just so good. And no one else does like expansive historical fiction about celebrities like Taylor Jenkins Reid. I was obsessed with Malibu Rising. I was obsessed with Nina. I was obsessed with Kit. I was less obsessed with the brothers, but I still really liked reading about them. But yeah, Malibu Rising was great. Pick it up because it's just good. And then the last book that I read that I absolutely loved this summer was The Stationery Shop by Marjan Kamali. I'm still thinking about Roya and Bahman. Like, I don't want a love story unless it's like Roya and Bahman's. I absolutely adored this book. I don't know what else to say. Just, you have to read it. Just think about, okay, so like in my pitch to you to try to sell you to read this, if you took Evelyn Hugo and then The Notebook and mashed them together with the political instability of the 1950s, you will get The Stationery Shop. That is what this book is. It is so beautiful. It is so heart-wrenching. Like, I don't cry when I read books or watch movies because I'm just a heartless bitch like that. But I sobbed reading this book because the way that Marjan Kamali kind of wove this tale together, it was just so exquisitely done in the kind of back and forth nature of like the 1950s, then to 2013 or 2014, whichever one it was. Just, you could see the structure of the story and you know how it's going to go, but it still tugs at your heartstrings because it's just like a train crash that you can't stop looking at. You see it coming, but you can't tear your eyes away. This book isn't a romance, but it is a love story, and it's about like love found and then love lost, reconciliation, starting over, coming back, family ties. It is everything that I've ever wanted in a literary fiction book in one. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. And unfortunately, this book single-handedly or single-pagedly, I whatever the bookish equivalent is, sent me into another reading slump because of how bad my bookish hangover with it is. Like, I'm still thinking about them. I don't know what else to say. I've started a couple other books that I'm enjoying, but none of them are touching this book right now, and I'm really quite bummed about it because I like want to be reading, but I'm just stuck in the stationery shop. But yeah, this reading slump is something difficult, and it's just dumb to me because I'm in this place right now where I want to be reading. You know, I started She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan Parker. I really need to figure out their last name. Anyway, it's so good. Like, I flew through the first part of the book, but because my heart was still like yearning for Roya and Bahman, I had to put it down because I felt like I wasn't going to give it its like due justice. So I'm really looking forward to picking that up soon. I've also got the Unbroken by C.L. Clark out from the library right now, and I'm really excited to read that as well because the Jasmine Throne, She Who Became the Sun, and the Unbroken is kind of been grouped together as like the sapphic trifecta of fantasies for 2021. So obviously I must make my way through it. But yeah, highly recommend all of those books that I've just talked about. Like, I cannot recommend them enough. I have also just turned 27 a couple weeks ago. I celebrated my 27th birthday and I kind of unplugged for that, took a couple days off from work to just kind of like soak in the birthday vibes. I went on a day trip to Portland. I went to a couple bookshops. I went to a couple plant shops, bought myself a couple plants. This calathea is one of them. It's a calathea white fusion. I love this little baby so much. Just the foliage is stunning. I've always thought of myself as more of a like totally green foliage person, but I've slowly throughout my plant journey throughout the past couple years, I've been just discovering that I like a wider variety of plants than I thought I did, which has been really cool. I also went on a little picnic with a like cake and like sandwiches and just like a cheese board to kind of like on the day of my birthday to kind of just celebrate. So like it was a really chill birthday, but I really enjoyed it. But like on the same hand of me enjoying it, I also felt a little bit off about the whole thing. And I think a lot of people would be really quick to like brush that off as like, oh, you're just scared about aging, which one, that's ridiculous. 27 is not old at all. But I think like Mercury is in retrograde, or there's like, if you believe it, I don't know anything about astrology, but like if you believe in anything about astrology, like please explain to me like what's going on, because I feel like so many different people are making just like big career moves all of a sudden. And like because of that, I've been feeling so incredibly stuck. Like I do need to like take a step back and do like recognize the privilege that I have, that like I'm coming out of a pandemic, I'm still employed, I'm still kind of in like the field that I want to be working in, and like I'm not hurting for money, thankfully. But I don't know, like with everyone making all of these really big career moves, I just feel so stuck, and I feel like I'm not in a place in my career where I need to be. Heck, like it's even harder because like right now I work in like international economic development, and my bread and butter kind of lies more in like politics and policy, international politics and policy. So knowing that that's where I kind of want to end up and where I am right now, it's just difficult to reconcile with. I keep telling myself like I need to be doing something better, I need to be looking for more opportunities, but the fact of the matter is opportunities in this field are pretty scarce. So I think that all ties in with like my feelings of feeling stuck. And this is like ridiculous because again, 27 isn't that old, and I'm actually like quite looking forward to aging. I know that's like not a very popular opinion, but like I want to be whatever the feminine like equivalent to a silver fox is. I like want like really long gray hair. I almost like, if my hair wasn't so hard for dye or for like bleach to lift the color off of, I probably would have had like a full head of silver hair. But I actually do care about the health of my hair. So I didn't do that. But yeah, it feels dumb because like it feels like I'm losing time. And I know objectively I'm not, but that doesn't change what's going on like in my head. So yeah, it's been fun the past couple months. I've been in a reading slump, and I feel like I've been in a little bit of a life slump, but I feel like things are hopefully looking up. I'm kind of crawling out of that like slumpy hole. So looking forward to the fall a ton. It's like officially after my birthday, and after my birthday is kind of like the benchmark for me of like, oh, you can transition from summer to fall. So yeah, it's after my birthday. It's Friday the 13th. So I'm like officially in Halloween fall planning mode. I like dug out my Halloween PJs. I recently bought a Halloween ModCloth sweater that's kind of like in the style of like a Fair Isle like Christmas sweater, but it's instead of like those intricate patterns like around the neck, it's like ghosts plus those patterns. I really quite love it, and we're in a little bit of a heat wave right now here in Boston, and I would have worn it, but because it's like 90 something degrees out, obviously it's not sweater weather, so the sweater's gonna have to wait a little bit. I also bought like my fall candle selection. I'm currently trying to curate my Halloween fall TBR, and I'm really quite stoked for that because there's a couple books that I've put off like specifically for spooky season. But yeah, it is full-on Halloween prep planning mode in this household right now. But this is feeling pretty dry actually, so I'm going to go wash it off and I will be right back. I'm just gonna put on a little bit of serum on my face and moisturizer. I love the feeling of having serum on your face right after you've washed off a face mask. It's just, nothing compares. I personally as well, you've probably noticed, but I have a bit of a problem with hyperpigmentation. I always have. It is the one skin issue that I have like dealt with for my entire life. I remember when I was like in 3rd grade, I used to have a really bad hyperpigmentation problem around like the bottom of my mouth and like my, not quite my chin, but just like right in that midsection. It was embarrassing as like a child, especially because like at the time I was the only person of color like in a school of like all white people. So people would like make really rude comments, and you know, hyperpigmentation is just something that I found comes a lot with melanated skin, and some people have an issue with it more than others. I obviously really do, but I'm really quite fortunate because it's the one issue that I've dealt with, and at least is a consistent one. I have never, knock on wood, I've never like dealt with like any breakouts. I don't really ever get breakouts. Like I can't even remember if I've ever had any. So yeah, just hyperpigmentation. I'm always trying out something new for hyperpigmentation, like in terms of like serums and like skincare, especially since college. I'm trying this Murad like rapid age spot and pigment lightening serum right now. I don't like that it's advertised as like a lightener, but like I'm just trying it out. I'm not really pleased with it if I'm being honest, because like I'm about halfway through the bottle and the pump gave out. It's not pumping any product, so I don't think I will be repurchasing this one, but it was pretty expensive, so I'm just going to deal with it. So what I do is I basically just unscrew it and just kind of like take the like the pump and just like kind of spread it around, and then I rub it in. So yeah, if any of you guys have like any hyperpigmentation remedies, please let me know. I feel like I've tried everything under the sun and nothing really works. Hyperpigmentation is actually why I got pretty serious, and lack of wrinkles, or like preventing wrinkles, but that's why I got pretty serious about using like SPF, because I never used it growing up, like ever. Yeah. And then I'm just trying the sample size of Clinique moisturizer. I just like how it feels. I'm not a skincare expert by any means. I'm really fortunate to have the skin that I have. But like I know nothing. But yeah, I think that is all the updates that I have for you. Thank you so much for indulging me on this little chat. I really do love the booktube community and this little community that we're cultivating. And I'm so glad you're here and that you watch this like nothing channel of mine. Please take care of yourselves, stay hydrated, especially if you're in the northeast of the US, because this heat wave is something else. I have my hydro flask, so I am also taking my own advice. But yeah, please take care of yourselves, and I will catch you all in my next video. Bye.